Welcome to my channel. In this video we'll talk about how to use SQLite in WPF application, and we'll be performing CRUD operations on this SQLite database, and we'll be using EntityFrameworkCore so that it will help us to perform all these operations. Okay, so in order to build this application, I'll be using two different NuGet packages. First one is Microsoft extensions.dependency injection. So we'll be using this NuGet package to inject the DB context, which will be creating in order to use the SQLite database. And the second NuGet package is the Microsoft EntityFrameworkCore.SQLite, so that it will help us to interact with the SQLite database. Okay, and I'll be using one tool called SQLite Studio in order to display the records which are available on the table in the database which we create to display these CRUD operations in the application. Okay, so let me give a very brief introduction to the application which we are going to build. So we are going to build something like this. So there we will be having one data grid in which we will display records for product. Okay, and a section of the UI where we can add new product, and the other section of the user interface where we can edit a product. Okay, so if you want to edit any other product, we'll just click on it and we'll perform edit operation, that is update operation. Okay, so this grid will be displaying the read operation, this add new product will display the create operation, and this delete will display the delete operation. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So for this we are going to Visual Studio and click on create a new project. We'll select WPF in the project template, and from here we are going to select WPF app .NET Core version. Okay, we'll click next. We'll give this project a name and we'll click on create. Okay, now the project is created. So first and foremost we'll go and add the NuGet packages which we spoke earlier. So we'll go to browse, and from here we are going to add this Microsoft extensions.dependency injection NuGet package first. Then install it. We'll click on OK and accept the license agreement. Okay, now it is installed. The second package which we want to install is Microsoft EntityFrameworkCore.SQLite. So this is the one. We are going to install it. Click on OK. We'll accept the license. Okay, now all the dependencies are installed. So we'll start working on our model now. So for this we'll go and add a folder in our project. We call it data, and within this data we are going to add a class called product. Now this product will act as the model for our application, and all the CRUD operation will be performing on this product model. Okay, and since we'll be using SQLite database, so this will represent a table or the entity. Okay, so let me add some properties here. First one is the ID, second one is the name of the product, third we'll add the small description. Okay, then we will add a price, and we'll add unit, like how many units you want. So this is our product database product model. So it will be having 5 different properties. Okay, so we'll use this. Second, we are going to add a product DB context. Okay, and this class will inherit from our DB context class, which comes from Microsoft Entity Core namespace. Okay, so we will add some code here. We'll add the constructor first, and within this constructor we'll pass the DB context option, and here we will say product DB context. Oh, sorry, product DB context, yes, and we'll pass this option to the base. Okay, so after this we are going to add a DB set, and this will be of type product. Now we are going to overwrite our on model creating so that we can have some seed data in the database. So for that I'll just override the method and on model creating, and here I want few records in our entity database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my model builder dot entity of type product. Okay, and we will say that it must has data, and we will say get products. Okay, and here we are going to say return new products array. Okay, and here we are going to add a few details of the product. Okay, the first one is ID. So we'll say first name is this, then we'll give it a name. We will say like t-shirt, then give it a description. It's a red color t-shirt, and we'll say price is like $19.99, and after that we'll save. We got 5 units of it. Okay, similarly we are going to add few more products. Okay, I'll just modify it 3, 4, and just said, so let's see, blue color and stuff like $10. We got 50 unit of it, and second was it's a shirt, formal shirt. We'll say $10 again. We have got 25 unit of it, and the last one we want to say socks and yellow socks, and this will be around like $2, and here we say we have got 500 units. Okay, so this will make sure that these 4 records will be available once we have database. But in order to make sure that a database is created when we access this database context, in that case we have to put this database ensure created method in our constructor. So this will make sure that the database is created once we access it. Okay, now next thing what we are going to do is we want to use this DB context, our product DB context, in our application. For that we are going to register this in our service collection by using a dependency NuGet package which we installed earlier. Okay, so for that we are going to our startup class, that is the app xaml.cs, and here we are going to create the code which is required to register our DB context in our dependency framework, so that we get it when we want to use it. Okay, so for that first we are going to create a service provider. We'll bring the namespace. Okay, so we are using service provider from dependency injection, and we'll write some code in the constructor of this app class. So for this we'll create a service collection. So this is the place where we are going to register our DB context. Okay, so here we are going to register our DB context now. we'll say add DB context. We'll bring the namespace and we have to pass the DB context option. Okay, and here we will say that use SQLite, and within the parameter we are going to pass the connection string product.db. So this is the database which we want to create, and for this we have to bring the EntityFrameworkCore namespace. Yes, this is done. Now one more thing which I'm going to do is like I'm going to register our main window with our service collection, so that we can call this on the startup event of our app.xaml class. Okay, so for this I'm going to register that as add singleton the main window. Okay, so this is the two things which we wanted to register in our entity framework class. Now what we need to do is we have to build these services so that the provider can be initialized. Okay, so I'll say service provider equal to services dot build service provider. Okay, cool. Now we want to use this thing. So first and foremost, what I'll do is I'll just create an event handler for on startup method for this app.xaml, so that we can load this main window and we can display it. Okay, so I'll do that first. On startup, okay, and we'll say object sender and startup event args, and here we will also main window equal to service provider dot get service, and we'll say give the instance of main window, and we'll say main window dot show. Okay, now we have to call this on startup method from our app.xaml here. So we'll go there, we'll remove this startup URI, we don't want this anymore. Instead we want to call our startup event handler there itself. So this is done. So let's do one thing. Let's just build our application and see we don't have any errors. Okay, everything is succeeded. So just a quick reason, what we have done is like we have created a product class which will act as a model. Then we built our product DB context so that we can interact with our database. And here in this product DB context, what we did, we created a DB set of products. Okay, and we make it sure that the database created once we access before we access the product database context, and it has some record in it. Okay, which will represent the products. Okay, and after that what we did, we came to our app.xaml, and here we registered our product DB context in our service provider, and we also registered our main window to the service provider, and on startup of this app.xaml we are getting the instance of main window and showing it. Okay, so this is code till now. So what we'll do one thing, we'll just execute it once and we will see that yes, the main window is getting loaded. Okay, now what we are going to do is we'll go to this main window XAML and we'll start to work on our user interface. First and foremost, I'll give a background of Azure. Okay, next I want to make 950 and maybe around 600. Okay, I'm giving a fixed width here. Now within this data grid, I want to create 3 rows. So let's do that. Grid dot row definition, and here I'm going to give a height of maybe around 60. Okay, so this is only to display the title. Next, I want to divide all the space between 2 rows. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Here I want to give a title to this application. So I'm selecting a label and I'm saying grid.row will be first, and I'll say horizontal alignment will be center, vertical alignment will be center, and the content of this label will be CRUD operation in SQLite. Okay, good, and we'll make it little bold. Font weight is bold, and we'll give it a font size of maybe around 20. Good. Okay, so this is done. So we have occupied the first row. In the second row, what we are going to do is we are going to create a data grid so that we can display all the product from the product table. Okay, so for this we are going to use a data grid, and we'll say grid.row equal to the 1. Okay, and we will say auto generate column to false. We'll give it a margin of 5. Okay, and rest we'll give it a name. Okay, we'll say product data grid. Rest properties we'll assign little bit later. Okay, for that now we need to have some column in this data grid. So for that we'll start with data grid columns, and we'll make sure that our data grid is having data grid text columns only for now, because we don't need anything extra. And for this we'll start with the product header. We'll say product ID for the first item, and for binding we are going to bind it with the ID. Okay, and likewise we are going to create a rest of the columns, and we'll say name, and then we had description. We'll paste it here. Then we have the price. We'll copy it. We'll paste it here, and next we had unit. Okay. Okay, and another thing which I want is read only. Yes, we want to make it read only. And do we want to add new rows to it? New rows, I believe. Add new items. No, that is the event. Okay, we'll add it later. Okay, so these are the things. We can see all this columns have been updated here. We have given it a name. Okay, so first and foremost what we are going to do is we are going to load this data grid with the record which we created on our product table. Okay, so these are the record that will be it will get created on the product table. So we want all those record to be displayed in our data grid. For that we'll come to main window.cs. Okay, and here we are going to create a reference to this product DB context. It's a DB context, and we'll ask the framework dependency framework to give the instance of this. Okay, we'll assign here DB context. One thing to note here is that we are directly coding in the code behind, that is the CS class of this main window.xaml. This is not recommended. We should use MVVM pattern, but for the sake of this demo we are concentrating on CRUD operation, so we are directly coding here in the code behind. Okay, but this should not be done. We should create a view model, and then we should bind that model with this user interface. Okay, but here we are just going to do our coding because we need to focus on our CRUD operation. Okay, so we have passed this DB context to our constructor of this main window, Now first operation what we are going to do is read operation. Okay, so for that I'll create a method. Okay, and this product should be displayed on our data grid. The name of our data grid is product DG, so we'll populate it. So we'll say product data grid dot item source equal to db context dot product dot to list. Okay, now here we'll call this here. So we'll put a breakpoint, and since we are executing this application with this product DB context for the first time, so our database should get created, because in our product DB context we have said that the database should get created. Okay, and for this what we are going to do is we are going to open the build location for this application. So I'll just go and open the build location. So here just group by type. So a database should get created here. So I'll show that database is once it get created, and I'll display all the records using this SQLite Studio. Okay, so I'll put a breakpoint over here. Okay, it's already there. So I'll just execute this application, and I hope no error is there. Okay, so at this point the database should get created. So we'll go to that build location, and here we can see our database is created, and it should contain 4 different records. So I'll just copy this. Okay, let me open locations once more. I hope that is the correct location. Yes, so I'll just copy this location. I'll go to my SQLite Studio. I'll add a database. I'll click on open, paste this. Okay, so this is the product. Okay, so here it contains 1 table, so I'll double click on it. I'll go to the data section, and here we can see we are having 4 different records which we asked the SQLite, ask the model builder to create this record in the table. Okay, so all these records are there. So here we are assigning these records to the item source, so it should get displayed. So I'll just remove the breakpoint, and I'll click on F5, and the record must be displayed. Yes, so here we can see all the record are getting displayed. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add a new section over here, user interface, so that we can add a new record. Okay, so I'll just close it. I'll go to the main window. So on the first one we have created label, in second we have created data grid. In the third row we are going to divide it into 2 equal parts so that we can fit one add new item over here and one update item over here. Okay, so I'll create a new grid. Okay, and I'll say grid dot row equal to 2. Okay, and here I'm going to create 2 column definitions, and I want to have 2 columns. Okay, so here we can see, let me make it to fit all. Okay, now here I'm going to add a border, and I want to say grid dot column equal to 0th, that is the first column, and I want to say border brush equal to black. Okay, black, and I want to give a border thickness of 1. Okay, as well as I want to give a margin of 5. Okay, and here I want to put a stack panel, and I'll give a margin of 5 as well, and I'll put a label, and the content of this label will be add new product. Okay, and I'll keep it horizontally at center as well as vertical alignment in the center. Okay, so here we can see that it is added. Okay, the next what I'm going to do is I want to add a form like structure so that the user can add new items over there. Okay, so I'll add a grid, and within this grid I want to have 2 column definitions, as well as I want to have a margin of 5. Okay, and I want to have 1, 2, 3, 4 different form items. So for that I will be requiring 4 different rows and 1 for button, so that will be 5. So I'll say row definition, copy it 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now I'll give this grid a name. Okay, sorry, I'll give it a name and I'll call it add new product grid. Okay, so we have done that. Now we'll create the form structure. For this I'll create a label and I'll say grid dot row equal to 0, grid dot column equal to 0, and here first I'll say content equal to name, that is the product name. Okay, and that's it. Okay, next I'm going to create a text box, and I'll say grid and column. Okay, and next we are going to bind this thing with a property in the backend class. Okay, so for that what I'm going to do is I'm going to create as content, sorry, text equal to binding, and I'll say id. Okay, sorry, we will bind it to name property. Okay, so this is the first thing which we want, and we'll make the column. So here we can see the name and the text box. Okay, now I'll copy it. Now I'll repeat it for all different values which we require. So its row will be 1, this will be 1, this will be 2, this will be 2, this will be 3, and this will be 3. Okay, and here we are going to use, after name we had description. Copy it, paste it here, and after that we had price, and after that we had unit, right? And next we are going to add a button. Sorry, we'll add a button, and this button will be on the grid row number 4, and the column span for this grid will be 2, and we'll say the content will be add. Okay, so this is our form. So let's do one thing, let's execute and see if everything looks proper. Okay, cool. So this is what we wanted. So just close this. I'll give a margin of 5 to button so that it looks good. Rather, okay, I'll give it for 5. Okay, next we want to add items once we click on this add button. Okay, so for this we are going to our backend class. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new property of type product, and I'll say new product equal to new, Okay, now I'm going to add this new property, rather I'm going to bind it with the grid which we created here, this add new product grid. Okay, so when we are going to add bind this thing is on dot data context equal to new product. Oh, sorry, we bind it with the new product. Okay, now what we want to do is once the user click on this button, right, he should be able to add whatever values he have added to all this form. So we have to have a click event and we'll say add product, and we are going to create this event in the backend class. So we will say private void add event, and we will say object sender comma routed event arg, and we'll say e. Okay, and we will just add this new product to the DB context. So what we are going to do is we will say DB context dot products dot add, and we will say new product. We're not going to validate anything, we just want to display the CRUD operation, so we are leaving all those things aside. Okay, and after that we will say DB context dot save, and after that we are going to reload the grid so that it all the new record get displayed on the user interface, and after that we are going to say that new product is equal to new again, so that all the things get cleared off. Okay, so since we have written the code, we have binded the operation, so let's execute it. And here in the table we can see we are having 4 number of records, so we must, after adding the record, we must have 5 now. Okay, so here I'm going to give a name of shoe, and I'll say this is a formal shoe, and the price is like $33, and we have 5 units of it. So once I click it, it should get here, yes, and once we check the property of this new product, yes, here we can see that everything is binded except for this ID. This will get auto assigned once it is saved in the database. So I'll just click here. Okay, it got saved. Now next it is going to get the product from the database and it will get displayed on the user interface. So here we can see a new record has been added. So if you go to the database and check and refresh, so here we can see that a new product has been added. Okay, so I'll just minimize it, and yep, so this thing did not get clear because we need to clear the data context as well. Okay, so next time when we add, it should get clear. Okay, now the next operation which we want to add is the update. Now if you want to update any of the record from the table itself, what we need to do is we need to have a form, and once the user select that, we should update the table. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this everything, I'll paste it here, and here I'm going to now name it as update product grid, and instead of column 0 I'll make it 1 so that it is there. Okay, and we will say update product. Okay, now everything is remaining same. If we come down here in the button, we need to say update, and on the click event we want to have an update button. Okay, now how do we bind it? So for that we'll go to our data grid first, and we will add a new column, and that will be of type template column, and within this template we are going to say that it will be data grid template of cell template, and here we are going to add a data template, and within this data template we are going to say this is a button, and the button, the content will be edit. Okay, and we want to bind it to an event called click, and we'll say update product for edit. Okay, so we are going to call this event right now. We'll make it, and we'll give it a header. We'll say update product. Okay, so we have added this column here, so a button should get displayed on every row of the data. So here we need to create this event now. So we'll go back to our windows.xaml, and here we'll say private void. Okay, and we'll say object sender, we'll keep it s, and we'll say routed event arg, and we'll say e. Okay, and here we need to find the row or the product on which the button was clicked. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a product, and it's a selected product equal to new product, and we are going to assign this selected product whatever we got it. So for that we'll say s as framework element dot data context, and we'll say as product, because we already know that it is of product type. Okay, so we have assigned this value. Now this product selected product should be binded with our data grid here. Okay, so we have given a name of our update product grid. So I'll copy this, and I'll say dot data context equal selected product. Okay, okay, now this will get updated. Now the next thing which we need to add is that event handler to this button. So whenever the user click this button, the item should get updated in the database. So we'll create a new event handler for this, private void update product, and we'll say object sender routed event arg e, and here we are going to simply say db context dot update, and we'll say selected product. Okay, and after this get updated, we are going to save. We'll get the product. Okay, so that you'll get refreshed on the database. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's put a breakpoint here first, and then we'll put a breakpoint here. We'll execute and hope everything works without breaking anything. Okay, now we can see that the edit button is present. So let's do one thing. Let's edit this last record and change the price 33 to like 45. So we'll click. Once we click this, a new the record should get updated on this selected product variable, and after that it should get displayed here, because this selected product variable is binded to the grid of this user interface piece. Okay, so we'll click there, and we should see, yes, we got it. So we are binding to the data context. So once I hit F5, here we can see, yes. So if we do similarly, it got binded. We have other ways of doing binding this thing as well, but we'll just keep those things aside. Now once we change the value, this thing should get updated on the database. Okay, so I'll click on update. Yes, it came here, so I'll just remove it. I'll just click on F5, and it got updated. So let's go to the database and check the value of this product ID 5. It should be 40 for the price unit. For the price, so I'll go here and I'll refresh it, and here we can see that the product got updated. Okay, So last operation which we want to perform is the delete operation. Okay, so for this we'll go to our data grid again, and from here I'll just copy this column details and I'll say delete. Okay, and on the click event I'll just say delete product. Okay, and we'll go back to the code behind, we'll copy this and here we'll say delete product. Okay, and just remove this and we'll say first we need to find which product needs to be deleted, so we'll say var product to be deleted and we'll paste this code. Okay, and from here what we need to do is we need to say db context dot products dot remove. We'll paste it here, and after removing that, we need to save it to the data context and we'll call the get product so that everything get refreshed on the UI. Okay, so I'll just directly click on the execute. Okay, now a new button should get added in the database, in the data grid. Okay, so here we can say, oh sorry, I haven't updated the label for that, so I'll just go back quickly and yes, I'll say delete. Okay, now I'll just start without debugging. Okay, now let's delete this fifth record so that it get removed from the table. So I'll just delete it. So it got deleted. So let's go here and refresh it. It should not be present there. Yeah. Okay, so let's delete one more and go and refresh here. So it got deleted. Okay, so we have covered the read request so that it get displayed on the data grid. After that, we created a new record by adding a new product. Then we updated a product using this update operation, and after that we deleted a record from the table as well. So we performed all 4 different operations on SQLite, and we saw how this operation can be performed using data context. Okay, so I believe you find this video helpful. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.